The final moments before sleep are not to be taken lightly. Most people treat them as nothing more than a transition into rest, but in reality, those quiet minutes hold immense power. The thoughts you allow to settle in your mind just before you drift off do not vanish into the night. They embed themselves deep within your subconscious. And once they're planted, they begin to grow. Whether they are seeds of doubt or seeds of confidence is entirely up to you. The subconscious mind never sleeps. It is always listening, always absorbing, always shaping your future based on the input it receives. What you say to yourself right before you sleep becomes the blueprint your mind will follow, often without your conscious awareness. You are either designing your future or defaulting to your past simply by what you allow yourself to repeat in the silence. This is why repetition is not just a practice. It is a ritual of transformation. It's not about magical thinking or wishing your way into a better life. It's about taking command of your inner world so that your outer world eventually aligns with it. The words you whisper to yourself at night become commands. Whether you realize it or not, your mind is obeying you. If you feed it hesitation, it will hold you back. If you feed it fear, it will protect you from growth. But if you speak to it with conviction, with certainty, and with clarity of vision, it will begin to shift everything in your favor. Before you sleep, you are not simply closing your eyes. You are either reinforcing limitation or reinforcing greatness. And that choice is entirely yours to make. People often underestimate the power of their own voice, not the voice they use with others, but the voice they use with themselves, the voice that echoes in the silence of night. It's that voice that sets the tone for tomorrow. It's that voice that carves your self-image into stone. You might go through your entire day being strong for others, putting on a brave face, acting as if nothing phases you. But at night, when there's no one else around, the truth emerges. And in those moments, what you say becomes either a weapon or a shield. You can use it to cut down your potential, or you can use it to protect your future. That's why this practice, this decision to speak powerfully every night, is not optional if you're serious about becoming the person you were meant to be. You have to speak life into your future. You have to train your brain to believe in what doesn't exist yet. Because your subconscious doesn't care whether something is real or imagined. It only responds to the emotion and repetition behind it. Speak weakness, and weakness multiplies. Speak strength, and strength emerges. So before you close your eyes, before you drift off, say the words that align with the life you want. Not just once, but over and over until they no longer feel foreign, until they begin to feel like truth. This isn't about pretending. It's about creating. You're not ignoring your current reality. You're choosing to build a new one, starting from within. Your reality is shaped not by chance, but by what you consistently declare to be true. So choose your words with care. Declare your future with boldness. And every night, remind your mind who's in charge. Remind it that you are not a product of your past. You are the designer of what's next. That design begins with your words. And those words begin tonight. Most people live their entire lives controlled by a voice they never consciously created. It's the voice formed by years of criticism, fear, disappointment, and limitation. A voice that says, you're not enough, you're too late, you'll never change. And because it plays quietly in the background, most never notice its influence. They just feel stuck, frustrated, incapable of moving forward. But the truth is, that voice can be overwritten. Not by arguing with it, not by drowning it in distraction, but by replacing it with something stronger. That's the purpose of intentional repetition. You don't need to silence the negative voice. You need to speak a new one so clearly, so consistently, and with such emotional intensity that your mind has no choice but to shift its focus. What you say to yourself, with belief, becomes the new operating system of your subconscious. This isn't just about saying nice things. This is about taking back control of your identity. You don't rise by chance, you rise by choice. And that choice begins with your internal dialogue. If you repeat weakness, you live in weakness. If you repeat power, power becomes your baseline. Say what you want to become, not once, not when it's convenient, but every single night until your brain starts to believe it. And once belief kicks in, behavior follows. Identity drives action, and your identity is molded through repeated words. That's the blueprint of change. It's not complicated, but it requires consistency. You are not a passive observer of your mind, you are its commander. So speak like it, think like it, repeat like it. Say the truth of who you're becoming, even if your circumstances haven't caught up yet. Speak it into the silence, and soon that silence will start echoing it back to you. The old voice will fade, not because it's gone, but because it has been replaced.
And the new voice?
That's the one that will guide you to everything you were meant to be. There is a single line that has the power to reshape the entire direction of your life. If you say it with full conviction, I am the master of my thoughts. I am the architect of my destiny. This is not just a mantra. It is a statement of ownership. Most people never claim responsibility for their inner world. They drift through life reacting to circumstances, blaming external forces, and waiting for something or someone to change their situation. But nothing changes until you take control of the only thing you truly own, your thoughts. The moment you begin to declare mastery over your thinking is the moment you take your life off autopilot. Every great transformation begins in the mind, and the words you repeat to yourself are the steering wheel. You don't need the world to confirm your power. You need to declare it first and then act as if it's already true. When you say, I am the architect of my destiny, you're not hoping for a better future. You are claiming the responsibility to build one. That phrase becomes a contract between your conscious intention and your subconscious execution. It's the blueprint you're handing over to the silent part of your mind that runs your behavior, your habits, your emotions, and your decisions. And when you give it clear, repeated instructions with emotion and certainty, it begins working on your behalf, even while you sleep. This is not about being delusional. It's about being deliberate. Most people leave their mind untrained and then wonder why life feels chaotic and out of control. But those who speak powerfully to themselves, those who choose their inner language carefully, are the ones who rise with quiet confidence. Say the phrase every night. Make it a part of your final breath before rest. I am the master of my thoughts. I am the architect of my destiny. With time, those words will stop feeling like a wish and start becoming your identity. And when that shift happens, everything around you begins to align with the new truth you've planted deep within. Doubt is clever. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It waits until the world is quiet, until you're alone, until you're tired. It creeps in softly, almost unnoticed, wrapping itself around your mind like a fog. It questions your worth, your decisions, your dreams. It says, what if you fail? What if you're not enough? And for most people, that voice is so familiar, so constant, that they mistake it for truth. But doubt only survives where belief is absent. It feeds on silence. That's why your voice must rise louder in the darkness, not with desperation, but with unshakable certainty. When you choose to speak with belief, even when no one else can hear you, even when part of you doesn't fully believe it yet, you are reclaiming your power. You are drawing a line between the version of you that surrenders to fear and the version that leads with faith. You don't destroy doubt by avoiding it. You destroy it by overwhelming it. That's why repetition is not a one-time event. It is a discipline. Every night in the stillness, you must speak the truth of who you are becoming. Say it as many times as it takes. Say it until your body feels it. Say it until your doubts shrink into silence. I am the master of my thoughts. I am the architect of my destiny. These are not empty words. They are a direct challenge to every limiting belief you've ever held. They are a signal to your subconscious that you are no longer available for fear-based living. Doubt has no oxygen when you breathe confidence into your soul. The mind listens most intently at night. That's when the real battle happens, not in the external world, but in the quiet war between who you are and who you're meant to be. So don't go to sleep without speaking power over your future. Because if you don't take command of your mind, doubt will. And every night you speak with belief, you train your subconscious to serve your vision, not your fear. Your subconscious mind responds to repetition, not to logic, not to reason, repetition. Whatever you say with emotion, over and over again, begins to shape your reality from the inside out. This is the power of autosuggestion. It means you are not a slave to your current conditions. You are constantly influencing them, whether you realize it or not. The question is not if your mind is being programmed, it's what you're programming it with. Most people unknowingly repeat the language of limitation. I'm stuck, nothing ever works out, I don't know how, and then they wonder why nothing changes. But if you want a different outcome, you must install a different message. Your thoughts become instructions. Your repeated words become commands. And your subconscious, without question, obeys those commands. That's why the final minutes before you sleep are sacred. Your brain shifts into a highly receptive state where the barrier between your conscious and subconscious mind becomes thin. It is in this window that you have the most influence. You're not just falling asleep. You are opening a gateway, a moment to drop in ideas so deeply that they begin working on your behalf even as you rest. You're not forcing change, you're embedding it. When you say, I move confidently toward my goals, or I have the discipline to follow through, you're not pretending. You are reprogramming the internal code that shapes how you feel, think, and act. And when that internal code shifts, your outer world begins to shift too. This isn't about motivation. It's about transformation through repetition. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to be consistent. Night after night, word after word. Speak your new story until your brain forgets the old one. Speak it until your emotions align with your vision. Speak it until it becomes automatic. The truth is, you are always training your mind. You are either training it to doubt or training it to believe. The practice is already happening. The only question is, are you in control of it? There is a hidden force inside you that's waiting for instruction, waiting for direction, waiting to be activated. But it doesn't respond to casual words or half-hearted intentions. It responds to clarity. It responds to emotional certainty. The more specific and emotionally charged your words, the more deeply they are planted into your subconscious. This is why your nighttime declarations must not be vague. Don't just say, I want success. Say, I am committed to becoming a disciplined, focused, and resilient individual who achieves my goals no matter what stands in my way. Be exact. Paint the picture. Define the identity. Your subconscious doesn't work in theory, it works in blueprints. And the clearer the blueprint, the stronger the results. You're not speaking to impress anyone. You're speaking to instruct the deepest part of your mind on what to build next. Think of it like programming a machine. If the code is vague, the machine will malfunction. If the code is precise, the machine will execute perfectly. And you are that machine, only far more powerful, but that power only activates when the code is intentional. Every night before you sleep, give your mind exact instructions. Don't just say who you want to become. Say it in the present tense, with certainty, with emotional force. I am focused. I am driven. I am unstoppable. These aren't just affirmations. They're tools of mental engineering. The mistake people make is waiting to feel confident before they speak confidently. But it works the other way around. Speak confidently, and confidence begins to grow. Repetition carves new neural pathways. It literally changes your brain. So if you want a different mind, speak different words. And if you want those words to take root, say them when your mind is most fertile, right before sleep. This is how you recondition the very core of who you are, not by force, but by repeated truth. Say what you want. Say it exactly. Say it like you mean it. Say it every night until the person you describe is no longer a future version of yourself. He or she is the one living your life each and every day. You were never meant to live at the mercy of external conditions. Your circumstances may shape your environment, but they do not define your destiny. Your thoughts do. And thoughts, when fueled by repetition and emotion, become beliefs. Beliefs are not just ideas you hold. They are instructions your mind accepts as truth. And once something is believed, it begins to influence everything, your attitude, your posture, your tone, your energy, your decisions. That's why every night as you prepare to close your eyes, you must plant beliefs that align with your purpose, not your past. Say to yourself with absolute clarity, I am in control of my life. I have the power to change, to grow, and to become more every day. These words are not a denial of your current struggle. They are a declaration of your future strength. Most people wait for evidence before they believe, but those who truly rise are the ones who speak belief first and let their actions catch up later. You don't have to lie to yourself, you just have to lead yourself. And leadership starts with language. The words you feed yourself are the foundation upon which your self-image is built. If that foundation is weak, you will crumble at the first sign of pressure. But if that foundation is strong, if it's built with conviction, precision, and consistency, nothing can shake you. Night is the training ground. It's where you prepare your mind for the battles of the next day. And every sentence you say before sleep is either sharpening your sword or dulling your edge. So ask yourself, are you reinforcing excuses or strengthening your resolve? Are you rehearsing failure or programming success? The answers lie in what you repeat when no one's watching. It's not enough to think positively once. You must condition yourself nightly, again and again, word by word, thought by thought, because repetition isn't just how you memorize, it's how you become. Say it until it becomes second nature. Say it until you no longer doubt. Say it until belief feels like breathing. And then watch how your life starts to rise to meet the power of your words. The mind craves direction. When you don't give it a focus, it defaults to fear, to uncertainty, to the same repetitive loops that have kept you stuck. But when you deliberately feed it purpose, when you speak with intention, it starts to reorganize your thoughts, your reactions, and even your perception of reality. This is not wishful thinking, this is mental conditioning. Just as the body grows stronger through repetition in the gym, the mind grows sharper through repetition in language. But the key is this: you must not speak your desires timidly. You must not whisper your dreams as if you're unsure they belong to you. Say them boldly. Say them as if your life depends on it, because it does. The quality of your life is a direct reflection of the dominant thoughts you carry. And those thoughts are shaped by what you tell yourself repeatedly. So before you sleep, say what you want to be true, not just quietly, not just mindlessly, but with authority. Your subconscious needs certainty. Vague hopes get vague results. But when your words are clear, charged with emotion, and repeated night after night, your mind starts to accept them as reality. Even if nothing around you has changed yet, your inner world has. And once that inner world shifts, it's only a matter of time before everything else does. Don't wait for the world to validate your vision. Validate it yourself internally every night. Say, I am in alignment with my highest potential. Say, I take full ownership of my growth. Say, every step I take moves me closer to my purpose. These phrases are not fluff. They are bricks. Each time you say them, you lay another piece of your foundation. And the stronger that foundation becomes, the higher you can build. No one else needs to hear it. No applause is needed. No validation is required. This is your private ritual of power. This is where transformation truly begins. Not in front of others, but in the quiet hours, when you decide to speak with purpose and rewire the deepest parts of who you are. There will be nights when you don't feel like saying anything, when you're tired, when you've had a rough day, when doubt feels louder than your conviction. And that's exactly when it matters most. The moments when resistance is strongest are the moments when repetition becomes most powerful. You're not just training your mind, you're training your discipline. You're proving to yourself that your future matters more than your mood. This isn't about feeling motivated every night. It's about becoming the kind of person who shows up for their vision no matter what. Because transformation doesn't come from the easy nights. It comes from the nights you push through the mental fog, the emotional heaviness, and still choose to speak with purpose. You may not see results right away. You might even feel like your words are falling flat. But repetition isn't about instant feedback. It's about long-term identity shift. Just like drops of water can carve through stone over time, your repeated declarations are carving a new belief system into your subconscious. And every time you choose to speak anyway, despite the doubt, despite the fatigue, you are proving that your commitment is real. It's in these quiet victories, these unseen moments, that greatness is forged. Say it even when you don't believe it yet. Say it until the part of you that once hesitated is replaced by the part of you that leads. The truth is, the version of you you're becoming is already listening. And every night you speak, you are pulling that version closer to the surface. Don't wait for the feeling, create it. Don't wait for the perfect conditions, build them. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're meant to be. And that bridge is built one sentence, one repetition, one night at a time. So when the excuses rise, when your mind begs you to skip the ritual, remember this: speaking with power when it's hardest is what makes it transformative. That's how you separate the temporary from the unstoppable. The words you speak before sleep don't just shape your future. They influence how your mind organizes itself during the night. When you feed your subconscious with clarity, strength, and intention, it works in your favor while you rest. Your brain doesn't shut off when you sleep. It processes, rewires, reinforces. And what it chooses to reinforce depends on what you last gave it. Most people end their day scrolling through fear-driven headlines, mindlessly consuming noise, or replaying their failures in silence. Then they wonder why they wake up heavy, anxious, or uninspired. But you can choose a different path. You can end your day by feeding your mind what it actually needs: vision, certainty, belief, purpose. This is how you set your internal compass. Not by hoping for a better tomorrow, but by commanding your mind to focus on who you are becoming. Speak it as if it's already happening. I am focused. I am resilient. I am aligned with my purpose. These aren't just statements. They are seeds. And while you sleep, your subconscious begins to water them. It looks for proof. It builds associations. It strengthens the neural pathways that align with what you've declared. This is the invisible work of transformation. It doesn't happen through force. It happens through consistent reinforcement. You don't have to understand the mechanics fully. Just like you don't need to know every detail of how your heart beats or your lungs breathe, you simply need to trust the process and participate in it daily. Repetition at night is not about performance, it's about programming. The mind is impressionable in those final minutes before sleep. Use them wisely, use them intentionally. Because every time you do, you are giving your mind permission to build the life you've imagined. And over time, that internal construction will begin to reveal itself in external results. Not by chance, but by design. Your design. So speak what matters most. Let your final words each night be the blueprint of the person you are rising to become. That's how you turn your nights into a factory for transformation and your mornings into a stage for unstoppable momentum. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. Not once, not occasionally, but every single night. Because no voice in this world is more influential than your own inner dialogue. And when that voice becomes aligned with vision, discipline, and belief, it becomes your most powerful weapon. Too many people wait for outside approval to validate their worth. They wait for someone else to see them, acknowledge them, praise them. But the truth is, the only validation that truly lasts is the one that comes from within. When you speak powerful words to yourself night after night, you stop chasing external permission. You become grounded, anchored, certain. You begin to move differently in the world, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence. The kind of confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are and what you're building. This is what repetition creates. Not a temporary high, but an internal shift. A rewiring of your identity from someone who needs proof to someone who is the proof. Every time you say, I am worthy, I am strong, I am enough, you're not trying to convince the world, you're reinforcing your truth. And the more often you do it, the less room there is for self-doubt to take hold. You start to notice something strange. The world begins to reflect back the confidence you've cultivated in private. Opportunities seem to appear. People treat you differently, not because the world has changed, but because you have. You showed up first. You spoke belief into yourself before anyone else did. That's the real magic. Not waiting to be chosen, but choosing yourself. And that choice starts every night in silence when no one is watching. When you declare to yourself, I already have what it takes. I am already becoming who I'm meant to be. You are not waiting on permission. You're operating from power. Because true transformation is always internal first. And when that internal conversation becomes unshakable, your life begins to reflect the strength of the voice that built it. When you make this a daily habit, something incredible starts to happen. The gap between who you are and who you want to become begins to shrink. Your actions start to mirror your affirmations. Your thoughts begin to align with your purpose. The person you used to hope for starts to emerge, not through sudden change, but through repeated reinforcement. That's the power of consistency. Most people underestimate how much transformation is hidden in small daily decisions. They want breakthroughs, but ignore the rituals that quietly build them. The truth is, success doesn't explode into your life. It sneaks in through the back door, disguised as discipline. Saying the right words before bed isn't about hype, it's about alignment. It's about making sure your thoughts, your focus, and your self-image are all moving in the same direction. That's how momentum is built. When your inner voice starts saying, "I follow through on my commitments," you begin to act accordingly. When you declare, "I attract clarity, not confusion," your mind starts filtering out distractions. These aren't coincidences. They're the natural result of inner alignment. What you consistently affirm, you gradually become. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, this is your leverage point. Not massive action once, but small, deliberate alignment daily. This is how you shift from struggle to strategy. Not by wishing, not by waiting, but by becoming the kind of person who trains their mind on purpose. Each night, your words act like the rudder of a ship. Even the smallest adjustment, if repeated, will change your entire course over time. But you must stay with it. Don't just try it, train it. Make it a non-negotiable. The same way you brush your teeth, prepare your body for rest, and turn off the lights, prepare your mind for the life you are building. Speak it with clarity. Speak it with belief. Speak it until it becomes your new default. Because when your words and your identity are in agreement, nothing can stop what you're becoming. It's important to understand that what you affirm at night is not just shaping your personal confidence, it's influencing how you interpret the world around you. Your brain is a meaning-making machine, and the filter through which it interprets events, challenges, and opportunities is built from your dominant thoughts. When you go to bed declaring strength, focus, and resilience, you begin waking up with a lens that searches for alignment with those traits. You no longer see obstacles as permanent roadblocks. You see them as tests you were born to overcome. You don't interpret failure as proof of inadequacy. You recognize it as part of the growth process. This shift is subtle at first, but it's powerful because your interpretation of events determines your emotional response, and your emotional response shapes your behavior. So what you affirm isn't just changing your mindset, it's preparing your reactions before the day even begins. When your nightly words reinforce courage, patience, and discipline, your subconscious prepares you to respond with those qualities. It's like setting an emotional GPS. You're telling your mind where to go, how to act, what to expect, and that programming silently influences your choices, your tone, your posture, your ability to persist. Suddenly, where you used to hesitate, you act. Where you used to fear, you feel calm. Where you once saw confusion, you now recognize opportunity. This is how you start gaining control, not over the world, but over your interpretation of it. And once you own that, nothing outside of you can dictate your worth or direction. So speak intentionally. Declare, "I see solutions even in difficulty." Say, "I choose patience over panic." Repeat, "I respond with clarity no matter what comes my way." These affirmations become the script your mind follows. And over time, that script becomes your reality. You're not just repeating words, you're preloading wisdom into tomorrow. That's the power of speaking with purpose before sleep. You aren't waiting to react, you're preparing to lead. There is a kind of power that grows in silence, a power that doesn't demand recognition, doesn't need applause, and doesn't rely on noise. It's the power of a mind that has been disciplined in private, of a person who has built strength in the dark when no one was watching. When you make a habit of speaking power into your soul each night, you begin to cultivate this quiet strength. It doesn't scream, it doesn't boast, but it's unshakable. And in a world that is constantly pulling at your attention, trying to distract you, trying to convince you of your limits, that inner strength becomes your shield. This practice, done consistently, separates you from the crowd, not because you're better, but because you're intentional. Because while others drift to sleep burdened by doubt, comparison, or distraction, you're building clarity, resilience, and identity. You are becoming someone who doesn't react to life, but responds from a place of certainty. And that certainty, once built, becomes unbreakable. You'll walk into situations others find overwhelming, and you'll feel calm. You'll be handed challenges others fear, and you'll feel ready, not because you're pretending, but because you've trained. And the training happened in the most sacred space, your mind, at night, when the world was quiet. This isn't about being loud. It's about being aligned. And when your inner voice speaks with direction and belief, your actions follow with precision and strength. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. Your proof is in the way you carry yourself, the way you stay centered under pressure, the way you move forward even when there's uncertainty. This kind of power can't be faked. It can't be borrowed. It has to be built. And you build it word by word, breath by breath, night by night. So when the world gets noisy, you'll stay rooted. When others fall into fear, you'll lead with focus. That's what this practice creates, a quiet storm within, controlled, centered, unstoppable. Every night as you prepare to rest, you are presented with a simple but life-altering choice. You can end your day in passive, surrender, letting the weight of the world dictate your thoughts, or you can take full ownership of your mind and decide who you will be tomorrow. That choice doesn't require noise, perfection, or grand gestures. It only requires consistency, a quiet, focused decision to speak with purpose, to plant the seeds of greatness before the world ever sees them grow. The truth is, your future doesn't begin when you wake up. It begins in the final minutes before you close your eyes. That is when the real work begins. That is where destiny is shaped. So no matter what happened today, no matter how tired, uncertain, or frustrated you may feel, end your day with power. Even if your voice trembles, speak truth. Even if doubt lingers, speak courage. Say it as though it's already done. I am creating the life I was born to live. I release what no longer serves me. I rest knowing my vision is in motion. These are not empty phrases. They are signals to your subconscious, instructions to your future, blueprints to your becoming. And as you lay your head down, let your final thoughts be ones of faith, not fear. Because faith, repeated enough times, becomes fact. You don't need the world to believe in you. You need to believe in you. You don't need everything to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Speak it tonight. Speak it again tomorrow. And keep speaking it until the world catches up to the strength you've already decided on within. This is how you rise, not by chance, not by luck, but by conscious choice, repeated night after night, until your voice carves a path so clear, so undeniable, that everything you've been preparing for finally arrives. You are not waiting for the right moment. You are creating it. And it begins here. It begins now. It begins every single night when you choose to speak with power before you sleep.